Arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as the young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face said I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people, I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson, I'm a bison, a beast. I'm high like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess so lit, I guess so bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody...
Ladies and gentlemen, cheers. It's Tuesday. Little sports nonsense and whiskey time, hanging with the fellas. Oh, it feels good. It feels good to be off and come a Tuesday again. Pinky, Robert, how we doing, boys?
Good, buddy. I think I'm going to get frisky tonight, guys. I'm going to get frisky tonight.
Oh, boy.
Watch out.
I like it. I like it. Let's do this. Let's make it real fun right away. Jump it off. Where are we going?
Well, nonsense. We'll just get that out of the way.
He is going to jump right into it. Go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's move along.
I'm just going to come right out and say it. Everybody else can say what they will. Robert Downey Jr. is back in the Marvel Universe as Dr. Doom, and I think it's bullshit. It is a cash grab. It is a cash grab, get the band back together situation, and I'm sorry, there are much better picks, and I would have rather seen Cillian Murphy or someone else take on the role.
Hold on. You were disrespecting our Robert Downey. I'm not going to stand for that on the show. But here we go.
I didn't hear any disrespect for Robert Downey Jr.
Hold on. He's saying there's a lot better other options.
No,
I think Robert Downey's going to be fine.
He's not saying it based on actor or person. So don't misconstrue what the man is speaking like he's trying to come at Robert Downey Jr. like he doesn't like the man or his acting skills. That's not what he's doing.
He was
just saying
as Iron Man. He is not come back.
It's going to be fine. Again, it depends on how they do it. Whether they do it as he is Tony Stark in a separate universe that turns to Doctor Doom, or if he's just playing Doctor Doom and he's just like what's his name, Josh Brolin, who was Thanos and Cable. It can be done.
You can do that when one of you doesn't look like you.
That wasn't even the same Marvel universe.
At the time.
Okay, but again, Pinky, he could continue doing both because they don't look like him, both of them. So
here's what I'm excited about. I do like Robert Downey Jr. a lot. I'm excited because I believe his casting is also what got the Russo brothers back to Marvel, because the Russo brothers made really good movies for Marvel, and I think they'll be able to continue that streak. So I'm excited about that. Robert Downey, I could give you credence. Yes, Cillian Murphy would have been great. There's probably a couple other dudes that have been amazing. I mean, hell, I think, I know he's Doctor Strange, but Benedict Cumberbatch could have probably done a pretty good Doctor Doom too. Like, there's some fantastic actors that could have taken on that role. Look, I'm not hating on it.
From my limited comic book knowledge, okay, I openly admit that. Try to learn and soak up as much as I can. But from my limited comic book knowledge, there is a one of those offshoot like what if type series.
Yes, exactly.
Where Tony Stark turns into Victor Von Doom, and that's
what if?
Okay,
yeah,
it's written. It's an offshoot, tiny
Demon in
little
the Armor is
series
what
that
it's
has
called.
nothing to do with the actual universe itself as a grand scheme in a whole. That's where I think this is a terrible decision on that side, because you're taking this very minute, microscopic piece of this character's history and bringing back RDJ just to tell that story.
But that's only if you tell it that way. They haven't said how they're doing it. They haven't said if he's...
Listen, hang on. Just listen to me. I'm saying if you're doing it that way, I think that's a bad way to go, because from what I know about this character, you could go pretty deep and pretty amazing with him. And you can't do that if you shoehorn into this one tiny little storyline. So that's why I think if that's where they're going, I think that's a bad idea. If he's just coming back to play Victor Von Doom, I think that's a bad idea, because as much as I love RDJ and so many of his films, I hate when actors play multiple characters within the same franchise and you can see who they are. Unless he's going to wear a total like Mission Impossible style prosthetic mask so we don't even know it's him and we just get his acting.
Cool. Or you bulk up like Chris Evans did for Captain America and get a haircut.
But if it's just RDJ playing Victor Von Doom, I don't like that either, because I think there are a lot of great actors out there who could truly dive into that role and, again, keep that character around for a long time. I feel like the RDJ casting makes this a very finite character. And I think, unfortunately, from my perspective, that is an unfortunate decision choice.
Robert, you may be right. It probably is a cash grab, but I do think he's going to do a fantastic job. So I'm all for it.
I think it's just a waste of Victor Von Doom.
If he's not, yeah, exactly. If he's not a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude, then it's not really going to work that well.
They can change actors anytime they want in the future. It's a different Von Doom from a different universe.
Storyline and then recast that.
Hey, man.
Why go backwards? Now we're regressing, not progressing.
They're going backwards to try to get fans back in the seats versus what they had been doing the last 18 months.
I mean, Robert, if we're being honest, though, they went backwards with the Spider-Man movie, did they not? So this wouldn't be much different.
I mean, personally, I think...
Just saying.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not excited for this. Because I'm not excited. I'm just not. I'm just not excited for this. I'm really not.
Well, I'll keep that excitement then for you, Robert, because I am.
I mean, please do not take this and like misconstrued. I will absolutely be one of the first people in line to go and see this. Do not get me wrong, because I am, of course, a dedicated fan, and just like I am Star Wars. Even though I disagree with everything the Acolyte pretty much did, I'm still watching it. Still watched it. And if they come out with a season 2, I'll still freaking watch it, because I have a problem. But as a fan,
I think we can all drink to that. Cheers.
Again, and as a fan, that's where, again, if I'm going to be able to have a conversation, then I have to see it. That's why we do this.
Yes. I'm excited. I know the Russo brothers had something to do with this. I love those guys. I love those guys from when they started out on Arrested Development. So they're my kind of guys. So I'm excited. I am, and after watching Deadpool and Wolverine and getting a decent reset, I feel like things are going to move well into the future. I think we're going to be getting some top-notch stuff coming out later. So,
I mean, this was the only Marvel project to release this year.
Yeah, they've got to be careful. They can't water down again, right?
Right, and the next project that's coming is Captain America which picks up on several things, which has a theory that the Celestial from the Eternals that's in the middle of the ocean's finally getting recognized, which we saw in the trailer, and is going to be made of adamantium, supposedly. So that is going to be an interesting...
Which is stronger than vibranium.
Yes. So
well, they came out already and said Eternals 2 is dead. Kevin Feige.
Well, yeah, they killed it.
So
it was. I mean, personally, I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was well done.
It's okay.
It's a different movie, but that's what Marvel needed. Is they needed a different movie, and people just weren't ready for it. In my opinion.
Well, I think it had so much to do with the fact that there was like 6 or 7 of them, and they were trying to tell like their past backstories the same time they're telling the current story, and I think there was an issue with that, especially with characters you don't really know or have any like background on. I don't know how you solve that, but
I think part of the problem was they didn't tie them in before that movie came out, and they unless you were like a super comic book geek nerd, like, and you got all the little Easter eggs that were lying around that. They didn't really get you to the point where you were like, "Oh, this is what they really are."
When they did
I get to see it.
When they did the flashbacks, I did enjoy them because I like history. And every time they did a flashback, they were, back in Babylon, and then they were, they just, they were always parts of history.
Right.
I enjoyed that part. I think it's when you're trying to tie in that many characters on top of the current story that you're dealing with, it just didn't come together perfectly. But
I think that was just the start of the fatigue. I think that's just what it was. And then you came out with how many TV shows and
I left that movie going, I was entertained.
Yeah.
I actually would probably put that over a couple of the DC movies that had come out. So I think it was still a pretty darn good movie. It just wasn't like top notch to really get people excited.
Well, and what it left open for is a next big bad guy and things of that nature. Like, it really put things into an even bigger scale that you could have ran with. And then they tried to go the route of, Kang and Jonathan Majors, and then that blew up in their face, unfortunately. And now they're trying to reset everything all over again. So it's not that they can't bring that stuff back, but
they'll bring Kang back once they figure out what actor they want to go with.
They pretty much took care of the Kang storyline reset with Loki season 2, so that pretty much was good.
Yeah, but then they ended it with the Council of Kang, so it's still out there.
Well, in Quantumania, but then
the movie did.
I don't know.
They're gonna bring it back eventually. Kang is such a cool villain; they'll bring it back. Just they needed to reset with a different actor.
That's kind of why using Tony Stark for Victor Von Doom was not the best idea.
You don't know if they're using him as Tony Stark, though. It could be just he's Victor Von Doom, just he's acting.
Right. That's never going to work, dude. That's never going to work. It's never going to work because you're always going to see him as Tony Stark.
We'll see. Well, I know Robert went out and saw Deadpool this weekend, which I'm still contemplating if I'm going to go see it again this weekend.
I will. Yeah, no. So I went and saw it with a good buddy of mine. Haley still wants to see it, so I'll probably be getting that watching pretty soon.
Heck, even my parents went out and saw that movie.
Mine too.
Dude, yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I mean, it covers 25 years of Marvel, so it was very well done. I know we can't really talk much because Mr. Caleb has not gotten around to it yet, but he will.
There's so many good cameos and different things in that movie that it truly is one of those things where you don't want to spoil it for someone. Because
absolutely.
When that moment happened, I am smiling ear to ear, excited. Yeah. The whole audience, the theater was packed. I went to the Friday night showing at about 7:20, and the theater was packed. And you just get everybody's excitement.
Yeah.
The opening sequence, the music, is so perfect.
All right,
Killer.
you guys can stop talking now because you're going to let something slip.
Oh no.
I think we're doing pretty good. The music is great. The actors are great. The cameos are amazing. I do feel like I was a little let down with the third act myself.
Yeah.
I
could understand. I could see that.
The big baddie, doesn't end up being a big baddie, and
you're starting to give away
that.
spoilers now. I just told you not to talk about it anymore because you'd start slipping, and you just slipped. Like, just stop.
Slip.
That is a slip, dude. That is
You're
giving
fine.
away things that people would have not known.
By the time you see it, you're gonna have a lot of spoilers out anyway. So
how do you know? You don't know that. You don't know.
I know that.
And it's not just me listening right now. There are some other people who care to tune into
I'll
us,
tell them they should have went and saw it then.
You're awful, Pinky. Awful. Just awful.
What else? Those About to Die is still really good. I've not finished that. I got about 5 episodes to go. But yeah, that's pretty good. It's doing review wise well. I don't know why I haven't looked into that, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So
I think everybody's different. I just want to be entertained.
Oh, when
I sit down and watch a show, I just want to be entertained.
Too, honestly.
I don't need to be wowed. I don't need to be just like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I just want to be entertained. I'm a simple guy.
Right.
Well, we did have a good weekend. Robert and I got to go to training camp. We'll talk a little bit about that as we talk about the Broncos later. Let's talk some UFC, guys. Which I don't know if Robert
Patty is officially
talk too much about
in the
it.
lightweight division.
Did he get ranked?
Number 15.
I mean, he beat the guy who was 15. I feel like he should have jumped up a little bit more.
I want to see the dude finally get some fights. I keep talking about it. I think he's got some talent. I think he's got an opportunity now to maybe kind of start moving into that middle tier area where you see the, what is it, Dustin Poirier's or
Poirier,
Colby Covington.
No, that's 170.
Oh, my bad. You know what I'm talking about, though. Like, in that area that where you start seeing some of those guys who are kind of on the downslide but still talented. Like, let's see him start fighting some competition and see what Patty can do.
So, it was really funny. I mean, it's. I think it only went. Did it go to round 1 or 2? Was it round 1?
It was round 1.
Round 1. I just remember they were kind of, throwing some punches back and forth, and Patty had hit King Green, as he likes to be called. He had hit him a couple times, and he kind of laughed and shrugged it off, like, it's just a love tap. Like, he was just kind of taunting him. And it was crazy when I believe King Green got him on a takedown, and then Patty reversed it. And the next thing you know, Patty's got his legs wrapped around his head, ends up getting him in a choke. At the same time, he's got an armbar. He's
going crazy.
King Green is completely out. And Patty is snapping his arm. The guy couldn't tap because he was out. The ref had to come in and be like, "Oh, he is out." Like, go.
After the fight, in Patty's post presser, he said something along the lines to thought the ref was a little slow. To be honest with you, that dude was obviously out. I had time to jump out of the ring and celebrate and come back in, and he was still asleep.
Terrible.
When you could tell, like, the guy wouldn't move it.
God.
The guy wouldn't move his arm.
Yeah.
After the fight, Patty came over. They were, he was being a good sportsmanship about it, and the guy was not moving his arm at all.
Somebody asked Patty, like, how do you think, like, why is it you seem to keep dominating and things of that nature? Why aren't people taking you seriously? He's like, I don't know. People keep thinking I look like a 15-year-old little girl, so they keep underestimating me.
Yeah, I've been surprised. I mean, he's pretty much been on the main card every time he's fought.
Yeah.
But I think I've watched him fight 4 or 5 times, and he's just now getting ranked. Like, they've definitely been slow playing it with him. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that for much longer because he does talk some shit, and he backs it up. And those fighters always draw in the fans, love them or hate them. Like they draw in the fans, and that's what people like. I don't like Sean O'Malley. A lot of people love him.
I love
he draws fans.
I love me some Sugar for sure. But I know what you mean. Patty's unique though in that like he might talk shit, but he's not like a Sugar. He's not like a McGregor. He's not like a Tito Ortiz from back in the day. Like he just kind of like lets you say something stupid. And he's like, "All right, man. Well, I'm just gonna break your head open, and then I'm gonna go eat a cheeseburger."
Right.
And you're like, "What? Awesome. All right, get it done, Patty."
Oh yeah, that was a really cool fight. The fights actually didn't last that long. We got out of there really quick because they were pretty quick.
Aspinall and Blades. Well, that was the first round.
Well, and that one was funny because Aspinall gets Blades clean. And when you're talking heavyweights, it just takes one clean punch and the guy's out. I don't think Blades was out. I don't think Blades was in danger, but he wasn't doing the best job of protecting himself, and the ref was like, I better step in and get this stopped, because one thing with heavyweights, if they're able to just start throwing bombs on you, they can do some serious damage if you're not protecting yourself. So I most of the time I get a little upset with a quick finish. With heavyweights, I don't, because if you're not defending yourself and those guys are landing hammers, like they could do some serious brain damage to you. So I don't quite mind that with the heavyweight division. And that's basically what happened. Like he was on the mat. He wasn't really scrambling, and he wasn't really like kind of protecting himself. And the ref just was like, he let Aspinall get like 2 or 3 on him. And then he was like, okay, I guess I'm going to call it. Cause like he wasn't trying to get up. He wasn't like, it just wasn't anything. So it was pretty crazy. I'm not a big fan of Blades. He's just a big guy that has, he's kind of slow, and he's gotten a couple good punches here and there, but he's definitely just a, middle guy he's like Derek Lewis. Like he's got some punching power.
Let's be honest.
He can be fun to watch.
Jones, who I don't even consider to be an active fighter at this point, once again. Is there anybody in the heavyweight division that we think could actually beat Alex Pereira?
I'm not knowledgeable enough to answer this question. I plead the fifth.
Because
that
dude can literally walk into the ring at 245 and be ready to go.
Caleb, I want you to save that question. We may have a guest later that I think would be great to ask that question to.
Okay. We have a guest today?
My buddy Alex might jump on later since we're talking AFC West. Cool. He had dinner plans, but I told him we probably wouldn't talk AFC West till about an hour in. And he was like, oh, I might be available then. So
that would be to ask.
That'd be a great question to ask of him. I would say, I would probably say no, but some of the heavyweights are big enough that if they did get one good punch on Pereira, like, I mean, Adesanya knocked Pereira out, so a heavyweight.
Yeah, but let's look back on that now. And the more I think about it, the more I think, well, yeah, because he cut half his body weight to fight that.
Which, again, he shouldn't have been doing. But
like, that's crazy. You're never going to put on enough weight to even feel semi-normal in that situation. The more we learn about this dude, the more we realize he walks around at like 260.
when you cut that kind of weight, though, you're also a little lethargic too. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He cut like 100 pounds. How do you even do that? That's absurd.
And then the main fight, Belal Muhammad basically out-wrestled Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards, when they were on the ground, kind of held his own, got some good punches in here and there. But Belal was just literally like, I am going to keep coming at you. And Leon was not able to defend the takedowns enough to keep his belt. Sometimes there are matches that I watch when there's a lot more wrestling and jiu-jitsu and that, and you're kind of going back and forth. Like, did that guy even do any real damage? Did he do enough to beat the champ? In this one, it was like, yeah, he beat the champ. He won 4 out of 5 rounds. And
to me, if you're just wrestling and taking somebody down and you're not trying to do damage from that position, you shouldn't get points for it. Like, that's truly how I feel.
I mean,
because it's not in a real fight. If that's all you're going to do to somebody, eventually you're going to get your ass whooped. Like, it's just going to happen.
So, and that's kind of where this fight went. That's what was kind of what it was great about it. There was about 40 or 50 seconds. I think it was at 40 or 50 seconds left in the fight. Round 5. Leon Edwards was able to reverse a takedown and put a gigantic elbow on Belil. Busted him wide open.
Forehead, right?
Busted him wide open. But he just didn't have enough time left to do anything with it.
Like, that's where I think they have to rethink scoring, because it shouldn't be like who won each round. It should be overall who did more damage in the fight. That should be the winner.
So I feel like there should be like two things. I agree with you on this. I think there should be like, okay, the scoring of who won each round. But then I think there's also like who had control and who did more damage. Because damage was absolutely Leon, but control plus the points of the takedowns was Belil. Belil won. I think, again, I wasn't... a lot of times I go, well, that guy didn't do enough to beat the champ. Yeah, he kind of won, maybe 10-9, 10-9. He won the rounds. There was a couple rounds Belil dominated because he took him down right away, and then it was like 5 minutes of just him kind of like trying to protect his... Leon was trying to protect from getting choked out and all that. But Belil is a good fighter, but he is going to be a Daniel Cormier champ, where he just wrestles you and wins decisions. He's not going to knock guys out.
I mean, it's not surprising. Cormier is buddies with all those guys, so...
That's not my favorite wrestler.
Brock Lesnar was a great wrestler. He could have just done that all the time if he wanted to. But he chose to take you down to do damage, not to just lay on top of you and try to score a point. You know what I mean? Like, so you can do both if you choose to, and that's why I'm just not a fan of that style.
I'm interested if Usman will get a match against Belil. Because Usman was not getting another match with Leon Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. Usman is uninteresting to me at this point.
I like Usman. I root for Usman, and he fights out of Denver, so I like that guy.
Does he still? I doubt he still does.
Yeah, no, he fights out of Denver. Fights out of Denver because one of Hannah's friends, one of my friends, he doesn't do as much MMA as he used to, but when he used to train, he would see Usman in the gym quite often. So he still trains out of Denver. Which is a great place to live. Why wouldn't fighters want to live here, right? We've actually got a pretty good group of fighters in Denver. So, UFC 305 is the next one. That is set to be a pretty damn good card. Boys, I will be at good company for that card. You're both invited, of course. That is...
I'll probably be there.
Adesanya and Duplessis is on that. I don't recognize the co-main event, but that's just on me. But Dan, I guess it's just the Adesanya thing. Yeah. Well, hold on. Tuivasa is fighting. Yeah. Tuivasa always puts on a fun fight. He's the guy that drinks the beer out of the shoe when he wins. That's always fun. That's a heavyweight fight. That's always fun. So that should be all right. I'm interested to see if we get Adesanya looking to get that belt back, or I'm just going to try to outpoint you.
306 is the one that's the card, right?
Let's see. What is 306? 306 is O'Malley and Merab. Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. That's always a good fight. Ortega and Diego Lopez. That'll be a good fight. Here's the one that's interesting is Raul Rosas Jr. He's a really young fighter. I think he's
19, right?
Yeah, I think he's 19. He's got a weird nose, like really weird nose. But the guy can fight, man. For being 19, it's crazy. So that should be an interesting fight as well. So yeah, I'm all in on that. I mean, I just like watching the fights and enjoying it with my friends.
Something to be said for that, you know? It's having a good time.
Having a good time. So that's all we got for UFC. Why don't you guys tell me about some Olympics?
Robert, good sir. Take it away.
Oh, man. There has been a lot of stuff happening with the Olympics. Number one, swimming has been very interesting to keep up with this year, especially since there has not been a lot of world record chasing. It's actually been one of the slower Olympics, and there's been a lot of controversy around it. Some of it comes down to the French pools are the minimum requirement. Normally, the minimum is 2.5 meters, but normal standard Olympic pools are 3. So physics, what happens when the swimmers are going and all the kickback from the waves in a deeper pool, it's not as monumental. In a shallower pool, it comes back a lot quicker, slowing them down, which is contributing to a lot of the slower times and a lot of slower times for just these swimmers that just qualified for these Olympics. So it's been rather entertaining to watch and kind of understand how that all plays into their times. Caleb, I don't know if you've been keeping up with that at all.
Yeah, they've actually been doing a really good job with some of the new technology they have and animation they're able to use during the telecast of showing how these affect the swimmers and their different launch points and stroke angles and things of that nature. So it's been really cool to see the way they've done the telecast for all of that.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. A lot of the Olympic technology has been great to see. I've always loved the volleyball technology. I just think that's one of the more superior ways to judge a sport, and I don't know why more sports don't try to adopt something like that, because it's all automated, and it works. It's consistent. It's 100% effective, and people need to learn it.
Agreed. Yes, absolutely.
So, which, volleyball, has been great to watch this year. Seeing, is it Brudinger? Is that his name? If I pronounce that right? Budinger. Coming from being an NBA star, now doing his first Olympic volleyball. Didn't win today, unfortunately, against Spain, but they've still got one other group match to go. But that's cool to see, just another athlete dominating in another sport at the top tier level. There's something to be said for that, because some other athletes do it. There's very far and few in between, but it's always incredible to see people do.
Yeah. So couple backstories here. Going back to the volleyball technology Robert's talking about, volleyball calls in and outs, they're not challengeable anymore. They have automated it to the point where the system, if it's even close, will just tell the head umpire that was in or it was out, and they just move on. They don't wait for a challenge. They don't wait to see if it's right or wrong. They're not worried about hurting their lines judges' feelings. They've used the technology to their advantage. They've sped up the game, and they get the call right. And it's been awesome to see. So I agree with Robert. That is something that a lot more sports should introduce. Tennis has the same technology, but they still force a challenge. They still allow the human error unless the player themselves wants to step in and say they want to see it.
Like Coco Gauff tried to do for herself.
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about Coco Gauff because I think she needs to mature.
Okay, so we're just going to move on from that. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as Chase Budinger goes, if you don't know who he's talking about, it's cool to do a little bit of research. As a senior in high school, he was the co-MVP of the McDonald's All-American high school basketball game with Kevin Durant. He was also first-team All-American in volleyball as a senior in high school. So this dude is insanely talented at multiple sports. After high school, he chose to focus on basketball, went to the University of Arizona, had a stellar career there to the point where he got drafted into the NBA and was in the NBA for 8 or 9 years as a really good role player. 6th man
I
of the
believe
year.
he was drafted by the Pistons.
Houston Rockets, I believe, is who drafted him originally, but he played for a couple teams. Houston might have just been who he signed his first big deal with.
No, he was selected by the Detroit Pistons with the 44th overall pick in the 2009 NBA draft.
Yep. Played for Detroit, Houston, a few other teams. Good solid NBA player for about 9 years, I believe. After that, he decided to go back to volleyball. Got into beach volleyball, became ranked on the, I believe it's called the AVP, which is the Professional Volleyball Tour. And him and his partner ended up qualifying for this year's beach volleyball Olympics, and he is now in the Olympics. So really cool story, as Robert was saying. I've got a buddy who actually grew up playing volleyball with him through high school and said he is the most athletic human being he's ever been around. And this is a buddy of mine who's played a lot of sports and been around a lot of athletes. So not unsurprising, Chase Budinger could jump out of the gym. I think he had something like a 41-inch vertical or something like that. Just something ridiculously crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so the guy could hop. He could play multiple sports. So, yeah, another really cool sports story, Olympic story. I will say real quick before Robert moves on, if you haven't seen it, go find this right now. But I think one of the coldest sports photos I've ever seen in my life. Not just this year, not just in recent memory,
of all
in
time.
my life. One of the coldest sports photos ever. Just absurdly amazing. Just pure brilliance. Gabriel Medina in the surfing competition finished his set, came off a wave and jumped out of the air, and is basically straight up and down with one hand in the air pointing straight up with the number 1. He is
parallel
with the water,
surfboard,
and his surfboard is straight out 90 degrees from his body, just straight out on the tether, just suspended in air. It is. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. Gabriel Medina Olympic photo. You will find it. It is amazing, absolutely amazing.
So I have a very custom theme to my iPhone, and with all the sports and stuff going on, it's making me really think about doing some sports themes. And I saw that picture, I'm like, yo, that's like wallpaper worthy somewhere, because that's just epic.
It's like,
that's beautiful.
It's like Jesus walking on water. I mean, it's just, it's just awesome.
It's an amazing photo. Just absolutely incredible.
Which, speaking of absolutely incredible and Superman, perfect segue to the gymnastics man himself, Steven Nedordoshchik, the pommel horse champion of the people. So, Pinky, I know gymnastics is not something that you are.
I watched it.
I watched it. So gymnastics as a whole community is very interesting on the world stage for several reasons. On the women's side, only a select number of gymnasts from each country can actually qualify for finals because of the medals that China, America, and I think Japan was the other one, were winning because there was just no contest. So they had to put it in some certain structures. With the men's gymnastics, they have certain events they specialize in. And that's what this guy does, is he is the pommel horse guy.
So it was really weird because I'm watching it because my wife does like the Olympics. And to make her happy, I was like, we'll put the Olympics on. Whatever. It only happens every 4 years. It's fine.
Great.
So we're watching it.
Too, actually.
Well, we're not counting Winter Olympics here, okay?
Yes, we are.
I mean, those are Olympics. I'm just saying.
I actually enjoy the Winter Olympics more than the summer. So, but I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, these like 4 dudes are doing like the majority of the events, and it's like, okay, they all did this, they all did this, they all did that, and then it gets to that last event. And it's this one white dude with glasses that comes out and just like does a routine. And I'm like, how did he not have to do anything else? He just had to do that. That's like, I don't know. I didn't know the rules on that. I was just like, I don't get it. Everybody else did every other event except for this one dude.
when you qualify for the team, you qualify at each individual event or discipline, whatever you want to call it. And then, overall scores and things of that nature as well. Well, he dominates the pommel horse. He's the best in the country at the pommel horse. And so while he may not be good enough at any other of the events to go to the Olympics and make the squad, he's so good at that one event. And if I remember correctly, you only have 3 or 4 guys from your team compete at each event. So it's not your whole team competes at every discipline. It's only a select number of people. So you pick your best people to compete out of the group you have available for you and your team score. So bringing him along as that specialist was a unique situation that the U.S. was able to do and paid off in the end because the dude came through and got the score they needed to get them into medal podium contention, and they were able to hang on for bronze
20
medal.
years.
Yeah, and I don't like when they say that because they always use years in the Olympics sometimes when they're trying to make things sound more incredible. When if you just said the number of Olympics it's been,
5 Olympics,
just as incredible. So it's been a long time since the men have medaled in the Olympics, and it was a big deal, and you could see the joy on those 5 young men's faces when that went down.
Completely. And he looks like Clark Kent, so it's fitting. So that was awesome. Of course, the women's gymnasts killed it. They took home gold. Of course, that was today, actually, this morning. Talk about dominating a sport for eons. Simone Biles, man.
She's kind of good.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And Pinky, that's what baffles me is because you love all of these sports and talking about domination and things like that. These athletes from our country are at the pinnacle of their sports. And as a sports person, I feel like you should just get hyped about that on its own right. Because it's exciting, man. Any Olympics that goes on, I am so excited because there is just so many things that happen, and it's just chance. It really just comes down to mentality, and a lot of the Paris Games have come down to pure mentality. A lot of the Olympic Village stories have been insane.
I will say, since I was watching, and the 2 nights I was watching, swimming was a big factor in both nights.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing the literal, I think one of the races I saw last night, the guy that won by 0.02 or some shit like that. It's literally a fingernail on the block. It was disgusting. I was like, the guy who got 4th, so didn't medal, was 0.05 of a second. I'm like, you were that close to gold, and yet you didn't get anything.
Yep.
What a kick in the nuts, man.
And that's why I love going back to Simone Biles when she was on Dancing with the Stars and she was getting all these critiques and whatever. And they're like, why don't you ever smile? And she's like, smiling doesn't win you shit. You got to compete and you got to come to your top. You can miss your podium by that much, and you could never do it again. Could never be that close. And that's what's exciting about the Olympics is just because that happens consistently.
Yeah.
It happened with the women's rugby. I mean, first time to the finals, they lost to New Zealand. I mean, not a tremendous shocker there, but I mean, still put on a good show to at least play for 3rd place against Australia, because they lost to Canada off a whim, and then we win with no time on the clock.
Talk about an amazing play and run by that human being, just a monster. I can't remember her name right now. I'm drawing a blank, but gosh, she got that ball and she stiff arm and laid that lady out, and then took it whatever the equivalent of 90 yards in the NFL, whatever the equivalent of that is in rugby, whatever that terminology would be. And she just pulled away from people.
And she was
took it to the house.
Moving.
Oh
She was
man,
moving.
she's gone. That was sick. Watching that, just epic.
Yeah, and again, that's why we watch
USA,
sports.
USA, USA.
That's why we
America.
watch sports. I'm not going to finish that statement. But that again, that's what's exciting. And the men's qualified too, for soccer, for their first time into the quarterfinals, first time out of the group stage. I know, Caleb, you say 5 Olympics. Again, I'm still going to say 20 years. That's an accomplishment for different staffing, different generations of talent. It's amazing. And we've been talking a lot of crap about the United States soccer. This is something where it's a start to something new, because this is not the actual international team. This is, I believe, the U23. So it's a great way to see new talent, kind of see what's farmable, see what can help us actually get to the bigger, better stages in the Copa America and World Cup stages. Hopefully it means we're getting some better things on the way.
Love it.
So, yeah, I mean,
If you're not watching start, Olympics are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's still so much more to go.
Track and field hasn't even started yet. That didn't even start until week 2.
Oh, there's still
you
so
still
much.
got the 50, the 100, freestyle, and swimming, which are always epic. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff still coming.
Yep. I mean, shoot, ping pong even got crazy this year.
Yeah, Ant Edwards is sitting front row for those. You see that, Pinky?
I did, and ping pong's crazy to watch because those guys,
Insane.
like, they go like. I mean, I played ping pong at USAA, so not by competitive measures at all, but like they've got some decent players, and like the ball never moves as fast there than it does at the USA, at the Olympic table.
No, that's not. No, that no.
Yeah.
No. You can't call some person playing ping pong at USAA a decent table tennis player. That's not.
No, not at all. Not at all. We had 2 guys I felt like at one point, like, I feel like they could at least play underneath those guys. They wouldn't be Olympic level. They'd be a little bit down.
No, I don't. No, I don't think that's true. That's an absurd level, Pinky. Like,
have you watched this, Pinky?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you have.
No, the guys in my chat group have actually been sending the tennis videos, the table tennis videos all day, because we all used to play at USAA together.
That's absurd. It's absolutely, like, I don't even know how you see the ball to hit it back. Like,
I know, it's insane.
When they truly get going, like, it's like, what is happening right now?
Like, literally, we used to play every day, break, lunch, break, every day. And it was probably a miracle if we made it back from break on time, because we'd get involved in a game when it was too close to going back. So, and then COVID happened, and then I just haven't gone back to the table. So,
it sounds like a personal problem.
Whoa, easy. And the guys I used to play with aren't there anymore, so there's that too. Oh.
Robert walks by one day and he just sees Pinky just sadly hitting a ball by himself across the table.
Oh, no, it's the scene from The Longest Yard. He's just sitting there playing with the half the table up by himself.
No, not even half the table. He's just hitting it across the table. Nobody's hitting it back. Pinky's just there by himself, just hitting a ball.
I'm like Forrest Gump, baby. Just
Oh yeah, okay, all right.
No, not really. All right, what else on the Olympics?
No, we're good.
Well, no, I was just going to say one last thing for Joker. If anybody watched that game, just how amazing he is as a player, because Serbia just, totally couldn't even contend without him. So
I mean, take it with a grain of salt, though. Like, USA wasn't really playing their hardest. Like, I think I think people are. If you think the USA is out there in any of these games before it means something. Like these pool games, they're kind of going through the motions. They might once like they get to the point of whether or not they're going to be playing for the gold medal, you might see a different level. But from what I saw, they weren't really playing. And for that matter, I don't. Jokic was playing, but it seemed like he was out there more trying to like coach and help his teammates learn the game and become better than it was like him trying to win the basketball game. I know it sounds weird and maybe I'm just off completely, but from watching the game, those are the things I got. Yes, you are right in the fact that their plus minus was even with Jokic on the court, and it was like minus 41 or something like that when he was off the court. Like it was real bad. And he made Embiid look like his little child from the few moments they went against each other. So all those things are true. As people watch these games, I think they need to take them with a little bit of a grain of salt until we get into games that truly, really mean whether or not the USA advances. Because they don't want to be known as the team that didn't win gold. Like that happened. That team is not looked at fondly. Nobody else ever wants to have that happen. But I still feel like they're just going through the motions right now.
Fair.
I mean, look what Kevin Durant did when he checked in. He went like 8 for 8, 21 points. Like he went Carmelo Anthony Olympics on people, like out of nowhere.
Fair.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but I still feel like, that team should literally go out and dominate everyone. Period.
Yeah, but it's
none of this like we're not going to try, we're not going to do anything.
But that's what
Dominate.
It is now. It's the same way they play the All-Star game and everything else, right? It's just their mentality these days, unfortunately. So a win's a win to them. They don't care if it's by 40 or 1 at this point, because all they care about is did we win or not. And then they always have that excuse to fall back on anytime somebody wants to say, like, yeah, well, the Dream Team was better. Yeah, well, the Dream Team played against what, like 5 NBA players? They're playing against like 70, So they're always going to have that to say, like, well, the competition we played was better, this, that, and the other. So they don't care. They just don't. So I don't know if we'll see. And I said this before it started. Like, don't be surprised if we don't see a dominant performance. They'll be happy with just winning.
They should. I mean, now again, there are much better international teams now than there used to be. So the fact that they're not dominating,
they should still win every game by a minimum of 20.
They should definitely be winning. The fact that tons of people lost money on that Sudan game is crazy.
Well, you should know better than to put money down on an exhibition game.
There's that. I mean, I feel that itch every time the preseason starts. Like, ooh, do I really want to put money on that? And I typically do. I do okay in preseason just because I usually bet teams that have like, a decent backup quarterback because those are the guys that end up playing the most.
Right.
And I think you can get some money on that. But in preseason, man, you never know. So I feel you. Is the Olympics done? Are we done?
That's
We're
all I
silent.
got for the Olympics, man.
All
So
right.
next Tuesday, baby.
We still got more to go, so don't worry. Coming at you. There will be more.
Well, Caleb, I am going to beg you, if you cannot come out Saturday, I still need you this weekend to watch SummerSlam.
I will do my best.
If you can't come out, I'd love to still have you out. But if you can't get the pass, you can't get out for, I know you had some reasons that might be, just keeping you from being able to get out. You got to watch it because this card is stacked top to bottom. You want the rundown, Robert?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We got Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. These guys just wrestled at Money in the Bank. It was a great match. You got to see some of Sami Zayn, his normal, like, tough guy, and still overcomes Ron Breaker's on another level, man. That dude jumped in that match. There was a time he jumped from the ring to the top of the turnbuckle, like super fast for a guy his size. Like a guy that size should not be able to do that. Like this guy, I don't know if he beats Sammy, but I wouldn't be shocked if he wins. They are starting to try to push him now, and he's the next big thing. I would definitely keep an eye on him. Have you seen him wrestle yet, Caleb? Like he's, and I think he's.
He reminds me of like an early Batista almost.
Well, he's the son of like, is it Big Papa Pump?
Okay.
His father is like one of the like Steiner brothers, or
that would make sense.
He's got some kind of relation to them. Let me see what it says for dad. Rick Steiner, yeah, he's one of the Steiner brothers.
Yeah.
So totally makes sense when you watch him wrestle. So that should be really fun. We got Logan Paul, which we've all mentioned. Love him or hate him, when he's in the ring, he puts on a show.
That's a fact.
He's wrestling LA Knight.
Ooh.
Which LA Knight's very popular. So
I like some LA Knight.
LA Knight could walk out with the belt that night. I'm not the hugest fan of LA Knight. I don't quite get it, but he's still fine. Like I don't hate him. We got Bayley versus Nia Jax. I could see Nia Jax walking out with the belt. She's actually cousins with The Rock, I believe. She's got ties in that family.
Yeah, Bayley's played out.
A little bit, but I don't like they made such a big deal of her getting the belt that I don't know if they're ready to take it from her yet. But we'll see. The match, I'm like, if this was the headliner match, I'd be totally for it. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley.
That's gonna be excellent.
This storyline has been from the moment Rhea got hurt, supposedly. I don't know if she really got hurt. I think she just needed a break. To Liv going after Dominic and this back and forth, and it's been awesome, man. And I can only imagine what this would have been on Netflix if they would have had this storyline on Netflix.
Oh man,
the things that would have happened. Or
they
said
are
out
trying
loud.
to go away from their PG and get back more to their PG-13 rating.
Like it's gonna be raw, as they say. I'm super excited for that match. Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk with Seth Rollins as the guest referee. I don't like CM Punk. I don't get it. I don't. I just don't get it. I don't. If
that doesn't go CM Punk getting beat down by both those dudes, then they made a mistake.
I think he's gonna win.
Probably.
I think he's gonna win. He hasn't.
Why I'm not watching.
He hasn't wrestled in 10.5 years.
Yeah. Well, he has, just not
here.
Not in WWE, but
something's going to happen. I mean, Seth Rollins is the guest referee for a reason.
Right.
He was pissed off when he interrupted Drew McIntyre in his match. So I feel like something's going down.
Well,
but
Drew
I don't
and
know
Seth
what.
have history and issues. Seth and CM Punk have history and issues. So it could go either way.
But I don't like CM Punk, regardless. I just don't like him. I don't get it. I don't get the fascination. I don't know.
Easy there, Big Bear. Easy. Settle down.
Damian Priest and Gunther. I like this match a lot. But Damian Priest is going to win.
Yeah.
They're not taking the belt from Damian Priest anytime soon.
Not to give it to Gunther.
Although I like Gunther. I do. I don't know why. He's kind of a douche. I like him. I don't know why. And then this match, this is the one on the card that I'm just like, really? really. I don't like. It doesn't make me feel any some way. Cody versus Solo Sikoa.
Dumb. We've done that how many times now?
And I'm interested in, because of that match, do we see The Rock or Roman Reigns
interrupt on the behalf of Cody, basically, even though it won't necessarily be for him?
I mean, Roman obviously is going to have an issue with Solo Sikoa saying he's the tribal chief now. He's the head of the table. So that's a built-in storyline of Roman coming back and be like, no, I'm the man. That's a built-in storyline. The Rock coming back, I think that movie he was filming is done, I think. He was the...
Moana 2?
Well, no. I mean, there was Moana 2 was already in the can. He had already done the voiceover for that. He was doing the UFC movie where he was... Mark Strong or something. Yeah, he was doing a UFC movie.
Like A24 or something.
Yeah, he might get nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
If this is good. He was doing that movie. So maybe we see him come. I am interested to see if we see the Wyatt Six show up. They're kind of coming in, so like it'd be interesting to see them. Robert, what is the most interesting thing? I haven't mentioned this person just yet. I know we both love them. What would be the most interesting thing at SummerSlam?
The most interesting thing at SummerSlam?
We both follow them on Instagram.
So I'm assuming you're talking about Tiffy Time.
Tiffy Time.
To help Nia Jax in her match.
No, does Tiffy Time cash in? She's the Money in the Bank. She can drop that contract at any moment, at any point, and have a title match.
I don't think so. I don't think she'd do it so early.
She does. Here you go, Pinky. She does. And then the Wyatt Six show up with Alexa Bliss sending a message to her instantly. That is how you get me back and make things epic.
Look, you got to watch it, buddy. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. You got to, man. This is. I think this is. That card is really good, man. That's top to bottom. Dude, that's really good.
It's no different than some of the ones in the past that we thought were going to be really good, and then there's stories that they decided to run with. Decided that I'm just out. They're stale. They're old. They're not trying anything new. So I had to take a break. You're right. It sounds exciting, but I feel like I already know how it's going to go, and it doesn't excite me because of that.
I got to get you back in, buddy. I got to get you back in.
I'm not gone forever. I just needed to let it breathe a little bit, and we'll see what happens.
That's the homework. If you can't get out, you got to watch. If you can't get out and hang out with me and do SummerSlam like we have in the past, you gotta watch.
All right.
Robert, hopefully you'll text me and come over at least. So.
And I'll
Where's your parents?
Mark Shuffle and Constitution.
Where are you guys going for dinner?
Their house.
Okay. This house is on Dublin and Power, so it's on your way back toward Parker. You're good.
Right there. Boom. Done.
Like I said, this guy's a big wrestling fan. He's been to 10 WrestleManias. He's got a championship belt signed by The Rock and Cena, Ric Flair, The Undertaker. Like he's a huge wrestling fan. Like him and I were vibing pretty hard.
Did we just become best friends?
I told him that. I was like, I think we just became best friends. Like it was awesome. And he just has like a shirt, like you would say something and he would light up. Like, and when you're talking sports with someone and they light up, you're like, yeah, like we can be friends.
Yeah.
Like he's a big CM Punk fan. And I was just like, I don't get it. But I was just like, the fact that you love wrestling and you love it like way above where I'm at. Like he's already got WrestleMania tickets for Vegas. And I was just like, oh, if WrestleMania was not the same week as the draft, I would be there. I would be there. Like, I would definitely do that. Part of me wants to do Royal Rumble because Royal Rumble's on my birthday.
Mm.
But it's in Indianapolis. So, but it's on my birthday. It's on my birthday. So,
if we all win the lottery, Pinky.
Decisions.
All right. Is it football time?
Yeah, man.
We'll give a shout out to one of the most underrated wide receivers in the game, DJ Moore. DJ Moore. Way to get your money. I love that. I love that move by the Bears. And we haven't been able to say that about the Bears in a long time. But this was very smart.
Anybody still question who wide receiver 1 in Chicago is?
It's DJ Moore. For a little while. Odunze's really, really good. I'm high on Odunze.
Yeah,
so.
DJ Moore could arguably top 5 in the game, and he's just never had a quarterback really or an offense that could showcase it for him.
I mean, I think you could truly make an argument that DJ Moore is probably top 10 right now, for sure. I think there's a really good argument to be made there. So I'm excited that he got the bag. Well deserved.
I'm a big DJ Moore guy, so you ain't got to convince me.
I mean, that was the right move. Like, Keenan Allen's there to help continue to build, but he's not there long term. Like, he'll be close to done. DJ, that's a great move by Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles has been pushing all the right buttons. And, I think this goes back to when we talk about, like, every team deserves that championship, right? And I know Bears fans got, 85, but since then, it's been awful. And since then, they've never had a quarterback to get excited about, to say, like, that's our guy, that franchise guy. So, hopefully this works out for them. I don't have any hate for the Bears. Like, I always think every fan base should have that moment in the sun, right? Every fan base should get a championship at some point. And at one point in time, I rooted for the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl when they played the 49ers the first time.
Now he's wishing he had never done it.
Well, I don't remember it happening because I didn't remember anything after halftime. So I never saw it until until Super Bowl 57. But Andy, my best friend, is my brother from another mother, big Chiefs fan. He had never experienced a Chiefs Super Bowl ever. So I wanted my brother to have that feeling. I've experienced 3 in my lifetime. Now he's experienced 3. So we're even. But I wanted that for him.
That's probably not going to stay that way for long, buddy.
Probably not, but it is what it is. We'll talk about that in a moment. So I just thought, like, that's what I want for every fan base. Robert being a Broncos-Lions fan, I want the Lions to win a Super Bowl. I do. I want that for their fans. When I was in Detroit and their fans were so excited, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are so close. You're there. Like, I mean, you should have won that game. They should have played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They were right there. So I want them to feel that. That would be so amazing. I know. I was like, if my team can't win it, and we're not anywhere close yet, we're building. I do want some of these fan bases to get that feeling, So, congrats to DJ Moore. Was there any other outside the AFC West storylines? I mean, all training camps are open. Fingers crossed. We haven't had any major injuries to any of our stars yet. Hopefully that continues. Anything else to mention outside the AFC West? I don't think so, but
not really. Not anything as of
We do have the Hall of Fame game Thursday. I always watch.
Always.
Although when I watch, I'm like, I don't know any of these guys playing, but I like the commentary. I like it that they bring the Hall of Famers out. It's the start of the Hall of Fame weekend. Oh, I did want to do a little show and tell with it being Hall of Fame weekend. Congrats again to our boy, Randy Gradishar. Finally getting into the Hall of Fame. That says to Aaron, if you guys can't read that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. This is one of my favorite Christmas presents of all time. And this guy averaged, for 10 seasons, he averaged 200 tackles a season. Now, they weren't officially counting tackles at the time, just like they didn't count sacks until like 1981. But he had 200 tackles a season. He led the Orange Crush defense. He was awesome. Awesome. And I'm so glad that he's finally getting that credit that he deserved for so long. So, hats off to Randy Gradishar. I hope he has an amazing weekend. I look forward to checking out his bust in Canton when I go in a couple years. I am probably taking Junior to a Cleveland Browns game after he's 21. You guys will be welcome to come if you want to go. We'll go hit the Hall of Fame. And then I plan to go to the Hall of Fame when Von Miller is done and getting inducted. I think I want to go for the whole weekend and do the whole thing when Von Miller goes in. He's been my guy since we drafted him. When that draft happened, I was like, I want Von Miller. Everybody's like, we need a defensive lineman. We need Marcel Darius. No, we need Von Miller. He was my guy from day one. And the fact that he helped change the franchise and get us a Super Bowl, I'm all in. So that's the next time I go, when I actually go to the ceremonies, I will go when Von Miller gets in. I wanted to go.
I need a guy.
I wanted to go when Terrell Davis went in, but because he's my favorite. He's one of my favorite players of all time, and I just couldn't make it happen at the time. So,
Word.
Gonna do when Von Miller gets in. So, congrats to Randy Gradishar. Everybody, I hope they all have a great weekend. The Hall of Fame game, they do a dinner Friday night. I think there's a parade Saturday. One of the days there's a parade, and then which they only started like last year. This is only the second year they've done a parade through Canton. Canton is not a big city by any means. Like not at all. And then Sunday will be, I think Sunday's the speeches. So I'm excited to watch that. Tom Jackson is inducting Randy Gradishar. I love Tom Jackson from him on ESPN with Chris Berman. So it'll be good to see him again. And all right. Let's talk some AFC West, boys.
I feel like we've kind of already done this, but we can deep dive it a little bit more for sure. Pinky, as a courtesy to you, good sir, and knowing that you like to talk about your team a little bit more than others, and rightfully so, and you usually like to talk about them last, don't hate me, okay? But I feel like we should do the AFC West in reverse order compared to the way we've done other divisions and start at the top and work our way down.
I actually had already planned that.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, good to go.
Because I actually think the Broncos will be third in the division over the Raiders. But I've got more comments to talk about the Broncos, so I left them to the end anyways. Just because I thought Robert and I went to training camp, I thought there'd be some cool stuff we could share. So we'll talk about them last. We're going to start with the Chiefs. I think we can all agree the Chiefs are going to win the division. Again.
I think we can all agree, not just the division, but they're the favorites right now to win the Super Bowl.
So,
like it or not, who would you put above them as the favorite?
So hold on. So let's take a step back. Let's just admit we are in a Chiefs dynasty right now, as it stands right now. And without a doubt, the coolest, most interesting storyline for this season is the Chiefs three-peat. Love them or hate them, the three-peat, it hasn't been something that we've been able to talk about since the 03-04 Patriots.
Well, wait, let's take this back even a little bit further. The 97-98 Broncos, if you go back to them, we're talking just over 25 years. And there's only been now a third team in the Chiefs that have even had the opportunity to do something no team in NFL history has ever done. And if we're being honest, I think the Chiefs have a better chance than those other two franchises did. Even if Elway had come back, he had talked about how his knees and his body were starting to fail him.
His body was done. That's
so
why he
even if he had come back, would have they had a better opportunity than they did with Greasy and whatnot? Yes, but even then, and then Brady and the Patriots, that third year that they went at it, they had lost some pieces. I think the Chiefs are in a better spot and have a better path with what they have team-wise than even those other two organizations did.
I know Robert won't remember because he's too young. What happened to the Patriots when they tried to three-peat?
A lot of things.
No, they were still a pretty damn good team. And they still made it to the divisional round of the playoffs. But where did they have to go play?
Indy?
Man, you don't even remember?
Denver?
They came to Denver, baby. Don't you remember Champ Bailey? Longest play in playoff history that didn't score?
Yeah, I guess I wasn't putting together that was their three-peat run.
That was their three-peat year in 05. The Champ Bailey play, Jake Plummer, all of that. We beat the Patriots in Denver. And that's the Steelers played Indy, and that's when Jerome Bettis fumbled at the 1-yard line, and the Indy guy got tackled by Ben Roethlisberger. Otherwise, Indy would have came to Denver, which they probably would have beat Denver, but Pittsburgh destroyed Denver in Denver that year to go to the Super Bowl. But we stopped the three-peat. They had a chance. No other team has had a chance since then to try to three-peat. So that's what's really fun and interesting. Love them, hate them, want them to do it, want them not to do it. It's just fun that they have the opportunity. Now, a lot of things have to go their way, right? What's really interesting is they have a better team this year than they had last year. That's what's the interesting point to this is they're a better team.
I'll say this, dude. If Mahomes, Kelsey, Jones, and 85% of the offensive line, so 4 out of the 5 guys, 80%, 4 out of the 5 guys are healthy through the season. If those 4 things happen, I have a hard time saying the Chiefs don't repeat.
So I wouldn't bet against them, but they do have some competition.
They had competition last year too, and that was the year to get them.
That was the year to get them. But again, Buffalo lost by a field goal. Lamar lost by a touchdown when they were going in and Zay Flowers and L'Jarius Sneed made a great play at the goal line, right? Defenders get paid too, right?
Didn't run the ball at all. Yeah, a lot of things.
And they won in overtime against the 49ers. It's not like they blew the 49ers out or anything. That's the one thing I want to see from the Chiefs. I want to see them get into the playoffs and fucking dominate. And they haven't done it.
Look here, but you got mad at me for this, but I'll bring it back up. You just said we're in the middle of a dynasty. You can't be in a dynasty unless you're dominant. So whether
but
they're
in the
winning
same
by
they're
a
in the
lot
same
or
boat to me.
little, they know how to
They're-
win when it matters.
They know how
That
to
is
win.
a dominant trait.
They're like the Patriots. The Patriots have never blown anybody out at all in the playoffs or the Super Bowl. Or in the playoffs, they blew out a couple people, but not in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl, they always came back and got lucky to win. Chiefs have done a lot of that too. Again, that's great coaching. That's great quarterback. That's having a killer mentality. Mamba mentality, as they call it, whatever. You can't fault them for it. I will say this, like, again, at the end of the day, you have to go and beat the hell out of the Chiefs like Tampa did, a couple years ago in the Super Bowl. You cannot let them hang around. You cannot play around with them. You can't give them the ball, or you can't take the ball first in overtime, right? You got to know what you need to do. You don't need to let them know what they need to do to win. You can't make those kind of mistakes. So I do think it's the most interesting storyline. I am, the Jets, the Ravens, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, Josh Allen and the Bills. I still think there's some competition to the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are like the clear favorite, but
Dan Campbell and the Lions.
I mean, we're just talking AFC.
Talk about the AFC.
I know. I just want
to. Will I say right now the Chiefs will be one of the top? Like, will they be in the final four of the AFC? Absolutely.
I didn't say they were like this, head and shoulders favorite. I just said they should be the odds favorite right now.
They are.
That's all I'm saying.
Vegas has them as the odds favorite. I still think
saying there's not competition. I'm not saying they couldn't lose, but if you were forced to pick one team that's going to win the Super Bowl next year, who would you pick? I would be forced to pick the Chiefs. And like you said, they got better.
Do I want to make a crazy take right now?
Yes.
I'm on the Jets bandwagon.
Oh. Welcome aboard, good sir.
Oh,
I just like that defense is so
good,
freaking good, so freaking good, and they are so undervalued right now. The national media is not talking about them. Nobody's really thinking they're going to do a whole lot. Like a couple of people are predicting them to be like 12-5 or whatever, and people are like crapping all over that prediction. And I'm like, I feel like you guys weren't paying attention. They won games. They almost beat the Chiefs with Zach Wilson. With Zach Wilson.
Garrett Wilson's probably a top 5 receiver in this league. Have you seen what he's done without a quarterback?
Right.
Kind of hard to get 1,000 yards without a quarterback as a wide receiver, and somehow he's been able to.
What's Breece Hall going to do when you can't stack 9 in the box?
Dude.
Right? What's Braylon Allen going to do behind Breece Hall, who's gigantic? Like, they are stacked, and they got O-linemen to protect Rodgers, and if that Achilles is healed and that guy can still do what he does, again, I won't draft him in fantasy. I don't think he's going to be a tremendous fantasy quarterback, but I think they're going to win a lot of games.
He'll be an MVP candidate.
And again, I just think the Chiefs have competition, but the Chiefs are a better team this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
Specifically on offense. The defense is pretty much the same besides L'Jarius Sneed. At the end of the day, the Chiefs still have Mahomes, who's the face of the NFL. They still have a Hall of Famer in Andy Reid, who is getting close to an argument of one of the best coaches in football history. You got Chris Jones, who's a Hall of Famer, and then you got Travis Kelce, who's a Hall of Famer. So as long as those guys are all healthy and playing, they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be a good team, no doubt. And watching Mahomes live at the Super Bowl, that guy just has the killer instinct. It just doesn't matter. And that's what Brady had too. It didn't matter. If they were down or if they were up just a little bit, he didn't make mistakes that cost his team, and he capitalized on your mistakes. Mahomes is awesome at that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And look, we all know how I feel about Aaron and the Jets. Like, I was on them to win the Super Bowl last year. I do believe that was my pick last year to win the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't have bet against that either.
I'm not backing away from that per se. but they still have to build a little continuity. And if it was the Chiefs last year, I could still be on that. Chiefs got better. So while I think there is, like you said, competition, Bengals are going to be good. I think people are down on the Bills, and they shouldn't be.
Ravens are going to be good.
Yeah, dude, there's still teams. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson can still very easily win the Super Bowl next year.
Who was the 1 seed last year?
Baltimore.
I think they're still going to be the 1 seed. Or they'll be close.
By no means do I think the Chiefs have a cakewalk. I'm just saying if I'm forced to pick one team based on what I've seen from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the like, and the fact that I do believe they got better, that would be who I would have to pick.
And what's great about this storyline, this is why this is the best storyline in the NFL next year. It's the Chiefs going for the three-peat, and it's everybody else trying to keep them from the three-peat. Right?
And
that
crazy.
That is a built-in storyline every single week.
Really crazy. I think we had the Chiefs at 11-5 last year in our season prediction and missing the playoffs based on tiebreakers.
We did. And we were wrong.
Or 11-6, I mean, sorry. But we were wrong. We didn't think Aaron Rodgers was going to do it.
Although
play 4 of the season either.
At one point, the Broncos were 1 game behind them in December to win the AFC West. So things happen. All right. Chiefs are pretty damn good. We'll give them their
we know they're
flowers.
winning the division. They're far and away above everybody. No problems. So you have the Chargers at 2.
Why?
I do. So hear me out, guys. I really like Jim Harbaugh. I do.
Apparently.
I do. I liked him when he was the 49ers head coach. I've liked him at Michigan. I just like and I like it when you run the football, play good defense, and you just do enough to win the game. That's what matters. Winning matters. That's all Jim Harbaugh wants. He doesn't need a quarterback to throw it 40 to 50 times. He just needs to win the game. And however you need to do that, that's what he's going to do. Now, when you have that mentality and you have an elite quarterback, which I've seen Herbert play at an elite level. I've seen him choke. I've seen him, but I've seen him where Austin Eckler's a good running back, but there's times where they run the football and it's 2 yards, 3 yards. It wasn't much. They couldn't get those consistent gains running the football. That's not going to happen under Jim Harbaugh. They're going to run the football, and they're going to run it well, and they're going to put Herbert in really good positions. Now, I don't know. I feel like the Chargers are they're going to make the playoffs, or they're just going to miss the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be a contender. I don't think anything crazy like that, but I do think they're going to be right there just based on they're going to play good defense. They're going to run the football, and they're not going to they might lose close games, but they're not going to get blown out in any games. There's not going to be any games that they're outcoached and overwhelmed. I just don't think
they might also win those close games now because their coach is competent.
They could. That's where I can see. I just see that they're either a wild card team because they can't win I don't think they're going to win the division. They're a wild card team, or they're just missing the playoffs.
Yep.
And there are 3 wide receivers in this draft that, if you're looking into the future, that you go, those guys are probably Hall of Famers in the future. Harrison, Neighbors, Odunze. Just what they did in college, and you're projecting that into the NFL in the right situations, all 3 of those guys should make the Hall of Fame. And instead of taking 2 of those guys that they had the chance to draft, we can't get the ball to that guy if we don't have a guy blocking. And they took a tackle. they are going to protect Herbert. They're going to run the football. They're going to give him time to throw the ball. They don't quite have the, I don't think they have the skill position players just yet to be amazing, but they're going to be consistent. And I think that goes a long way in today's NFL. They're not going to get cute, So I do think I'm pretty high on the I'm higher than I thought I'd be on the Chargers. I've always had a hate for the Chargers. I always hated Phillip Rivers. And then I always hated the last 7-8 years. The Chargers kept getting this dark horse candidate hype that I didn't feel like they've earned. They kept getting that hype every year that I don't feel like they had earned. And they never lived up to it, right? Which made it easy to say Chargers are going to charge her. They're not going to charge. I don't think
they're going to be able to say that anymore.
I'm not going to be able to say that anymore. I think they're going to have an adult at the coaching position. They have a guy who knows what it takes. I think they have a guy that, he's a player's coach. He's going to have fun. He's going to get players playing well. They're going to be better. I don't think they won't win the division, and they're going to play for that 6-7 seed. They may not make it, but I do think they're going to be a better team. Robert, what do you think? You didn't talk a whole lot during the Chiefs segment, so I don't
have a lot to say about the Chiefs because I'm just going to be hopping on the bandwagon like everybody else and saying what everybody else is thinking. I personally think that the Raiders are going to be the next. And they will be above the Chargers because I don't think the Chargers are going to just be this well-oiled machine right out of the gate. I think they're just going to need a year. Maybe 2 years. They're going to be this great running machine that you're thinking, Pinky. But I definitely think that it's going to take this year to kind of build that up and build that confidence in the Chargers themselves. That's my take.
I can poke a flaw in that right now. Caleb, do you know exactly where I'm going to go on that one?
Go ahead.
So the flaw in that, Robert, and this has just been normally the case in the NFL for a long time. The team with the better quarterback plays better.
Sure.
Wins the games. Right now, the Raiders really don't know who their quarterback is. The Chargers have a really good one.
Sure.
Now, the weapons on the Raiders, if you took the weapons from the Raiders and gave Justin Herbert that, we might be like, oh yeah, they're going to beat the Chiefs. That's how good the weapons on the Raiders are. But the Raiders have Gardner Minshew, who I like, and Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell beat the Chiefs last year on Christmas without completing a pass in the second half. How does that happen? Your defense kicks the crap out of the Chiefs. That's what happened, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to win you a lot of games. I think Aiden O'Connell's okay. Is he horrible? No. Is he better than Gardner Minshew? No, not at all. The fact that they're still making this a quarterback competition makes no sense to me. Gardner Minshew should be the starter. Period. That's what you paid him a decent amount of money. Obviously, you feel like he's probably starter worthy, right?
You would think.
So I was going to start the Raiders conversation with the Kermit the Frog incident. Did you catch that at all, Robert? Did you see that?
Kermit the Frog? I did not.
So a fan brought a Kermit. So Patrick Mahomes does not have the best voice.
I did see this.
And he kind of sounds like Kermit the Frog, right?
No.
So a fan brought
like Danny McBride.
Kermit the Frog with a Mahomes jersey on, and somehow the Raiders, one of the Raiders rookies, Trey Taylor from Air Force, got a hold of it was playing with it, saying he's a bitch while he's got it on his hand. And that started a whole shitstorm, which is amazing. The next day, Kansas City reporters, they're asking Mahomes about it. And Mahomes is like, we'll see when we see. Like, we'll take care of it. Now, what's funny about that is he looked pissed while he's talking about it.
I'm sure.
It wasn't just the like, I'm laughing it off and yeah, you know what? We'll take care of the Raiders. Andy Reid probably said it best. Like, we don't play with puppets here in Kansas City. We're worried about winning championships. Like, that's the way you handle it. Mahomes was pissed. Now, if this was Max Crosby, who's given Mahomes hell, I think I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. This is a rookie who hasn't played a down in the NFL. And he's the one that's out there talking about Mahomes as a bitch, playing with this little Kermit, doll with a Mahomes jersey on. I don't like that look at all. I don't like, and then this is why, Antonio Pierce even actually said, we talked about it. We've put it behind us. Like, he told him, like, what are you doing? You were literally pissing off the face of the NFL. The guy that torments us every year, twice a year. There's no need for it. Caleb, what did you think about that whole incident?
I think it's a non-story. Comical, non-story.
I think it's just two guys talking shit.
Shit talking is fun. But at the end of the day, when you can't back it up, like, you're really just trolling at that point.
True.
So,
and I will say personally, I will say that Patrick Mahomes sounds like Danny McBride. That's just my take on that whole thing. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I don't know if I've gotten that vibe, but did you was there a video on that?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. Because I love Danny McBride. He's one of my guys. Oh, I'm not. The Raiders have, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams. They have Michael Mayer. They have Brock Bowers. If they have a competent quarterback that can just get the ball to those guys, they should be in good shape. I just don't know. I just don't know if it's going to work. I don't know about if hiring Antonio Pierce was the right move. I know they were in a tough spot. The team did respond when he took over last year. But for McDaniels, I don't know. Hiring the interim coach doesn't normally work out long term.
Not your regular interim coach, though. This is a guy who a lot of people said was on his way to being a head coach at one point or another anyways. So he just kind of got fast-tracked a little bit because of the position he was in, and he showed why people were talking about him like that anyways.
What happens to a lot of guys when they get fast-tracked?
I mean, I would disagree with you, but, for every one you have that may have been a bust, I'll give you a Sean McVay.
I mean, Sean McVay was somewhat fast-tracked. I'd agree with that. But I think
you could say O'Connell in Minnesota was fast-tracked. He seems to have been pretty successful so far. LaFleur, you could say, was fast-tracked with Green Bay. He's doing pretty good right now. There's a new norm.
So, whoa. Hold on. Those are all offensive coaches coming from offensive systems, running good offenses.
DeMeco Ryan was fast-tracked. He's doing great down in Houston.
He was fast-tracked. That is true.
I think there's a different level to this game now that the old guys didn't understand.
I'm not sure Antonio Pierce is going to be the guy.
Look, he's still got a lot to prove, but I think it was the right move, and it's not like he was a guy who people weren't already talking about in the circles of getting his opportunity at some point.
I mean, I don't know what other options the Raiders would have had. I don't know how many coaches would have signed up to work for the Raiders.
That could be true.
It's not been the most glamorous job.
I agree with your assessment of the quarterback's a big question mark. The quarterback being a question mark, though, is the only reason I don't have them second in the division. I think talent-wise, they are above the Chargers. They're definitely above the Broncos. The quarterback, though, is a bit of a question mark, but I think that talent has them fighting for second with the Chargers. I think the Broncos at the bottom is pretty clear choice.
I have the Raiders and the Broncos fighting for the bottom. I won't be shocked by either one.
I think the Raiders are just a more superiorly talented team. They just have more people on their team overall that can play, especially at the top end talent. You talk about guys like Brock Bowers is going to come in as a rookie and be one of the best tight ends in the league, everybody's saying. Michael Mayer is no slouch. Then you have Devontae Adams. You're looking at Max Crosby. Their top end is high.
I mean, so from their defense, Max Crosby is the guy. And he is way underrated. I don't think people give him enough flowers. He
might be the best defensive player in the league.
He is amazing. And I couldn't even disagree with you on that, Caleb. Every time I watch him play, Broncos or play any team, he shows out every game. Every game. So I'm on the Max Crosby train. I just don't know if they have a lot of playmakers outside of him. They're solid on defense. I just don't know if they have a lot of playmakers outside of him. Again, I do think they're 3rd/4th in the division. Like the Broncos and the Raiders are fighting for 3rd and 4th. At the moment, I would absolutely agree that the Raiders have more star power than the Broncos. So we can agree on that. Cheers. And I do love Brock Bowers. Now, there's the hope that he is a stud tight end out the gate. That doesn't always happen when it comes to tight end.
And I agree. But they saw Michael Mayer, who was supposed to be a high-end tight end already. So it's not like if Brock Bowers struggles, they're in a bad spot. They got a rookie who's not his second year who was already considered to be talented.
I mean, Mayer got hurt halfway through the season, so he's almost like a rookie again. Like he's been through the program, but he was hurt halfway through. So again, the only thing that I'm curious about is they also brought in Luke Getsy as their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that myself.
And I don't know if that was the guy. I don't know.
Not who I would have hired.
He didn't do a great job in Chicago. So I don't know if I have a lot of faith for him in Las Vegas. But
they also brought in Christian Wilkins, though.
So Christian Wilkins, I did love that addition. Because now you've got Christian Wilkins in the middle, and you've got to worry about Max Crosby on the edge. So, yes, that's a fantastic – and they're not spending money at the quarterback position, right? So they have that money to throw around somewhere. Might as well get a really good interior defensive lineman. So, I think the Raiders – again, I would – overall, I would say the Raiders have a more talented team than the Broncos for sure. I just don't know if that coaching staff is going to be up to par.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. If they get average quarterback play, which I think we can both agree they'll get one way or another, they'll get average quarterback play, and Antonio Pierce can keep that team going and coach the way he did last year, if you knew those things to be true, would you say that they're definitely above the Broncos then at that point?
I don't know. Ooh. I still think they've lost so many close games the last 2 years. I don't know if I see that changing.
Okay.
I still think they're going to be competitive. They'll be in games. I just feel like they're going to find ways to lose games. So that's me. Robert, what do you feel about the Raiders, if anything?
Again, I personally I think that they have some pretty decent weapons and that they're going to find their chemistry with their quarterback and kind of be a dark horse in the situation. I really do think that they're going to give a challenge to the Chargers. I do not disagree with you on the Broncos fighting for last. I don't. But I personally think that as much as I hate to say it and as much as I hate Raiders fans, you know, I personally think that they have a good chance at being a dark horse in this division.
Dark horse as in
like being like second place, not going to beat the Chiefs, but being a solid team. But again, I don't think they'll contend against the Chiefs.
I think there's an argument to be made they could be second place. I think there's an argument. I don't see that happening, but if you want to argue it, I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't beat you up, punch you in the face, and call you an idiot like I call Caleb from time to time. So,
I mean, I would hope not, since my knowledge isn't as vast.
It's an argument to be had. They have talent. The Raiders have talent. I just don't know if they have the coaching in place to really like move the needle.
Fair enough.
All right, let's hear it, Pinky.
All right. So we move on to the Broncos. And I've watched a lot of mini camp. I've watched a lot of preseason or training camp stuff. They have moved on from the Russ era, and I feel like that weight has been lifted. And I feel like there's excitement again. Now, that's going to equal to 6 to 8 wins. Somewhere in that range, which again will make you money. As we talked about on the Old Fashioned Football podcast, my lock was the Broncos are going to win more than 5.5 games.
6-11. That's what you predicted. I'm just going to keep taunting this in your face.
Well, we got to go back. We got to do our schedule. We got to do our whole schedule thing. But you keep that.
Might be generous.
You keep that. I think they're going to win at least 6. They're going to win 6 to 8 games.
This was the no schedule pick. This was the no schedule pick. I did title it appropriately, so we're good there. But you did choose them, have them at 6-11.
They're going to win 6 to 8 games, which will win you money because the Vegas over/under is 5.5. Now, I am still at the point where if we win 4 games, I'm still okay with it. We're getting a top 5 pick. I'm okay with that. Like, we need more star power on the team. I think we could all agree with that. We need more guys that on defense and offense that when you're going in there and being like, at the moment, there's nobody on offense or defense that you're scared of. That an offensive or defensive coordinator is going like, ooh, we got a plan for that guy. I do think on defense, a quarterback's going to be like, I'm not going to throw at Patrick Surtain. But everywhere else, there's nobody else on the defense that they're even like concerned about. I won't throw at him. He's not going to pick me because I'm not throwing to him. But everybody else, I'm going to pick on. Right? That's going to happen. On offense, I don't feel like there's a player on offense at the moment that's like, I am losing sleep game planning to stop this guy. We don't have that guy at the moment.
So how do you have them winning 6+ games and beating the Raiders in the division, all that being said?
Because I think that they'll still win some games that you don't think they should win.
Ugh.
They're gonna run the football. They're gonna play decent defense. They played decent defense last year, and they didn't lose anybody besides Justin Simmons. That's the only guy they lost last year. Everybody else on the defense is back, and they added a couple pieces. They added 2 guys to defend the run. Like, they're going to be better. And Sean Payton, I think he's even when he had Drew Brees, we had a couple seasons he won 7 games. I don't see him winning 4 games. He's going to win some games you don't think he should win. It's going to happen. He's a decent coach. Again, 6 to 8 wins. That's not a lot. They're not going to be a playoff team. I'm sorry, Broncos country. I know.
Sounds really
I know
generous when you're talking about a team that is basically devoid. Sorry.
I don't think they're. I think they've got unproven talent. They've got some guys that, again, if they coach up and they grow, we could be surprised. They just don't have those guys that are like playmakers, like serious guys that are going to make 20, 30 million a year. We don't have those guys right now. We do have a lot of young, unproven talent that if they learn and grow, we can surprise folks. And again, I'm happy with 6 to 8 wins. That's all. 6 to 8 wins. That's not great. We're not making the playoffs, guys. The drought is going to continue. I'm sorry, Broncos country. It's fine. We're not going to make the playoffs. Go ahead and get that in your head now. It's not going to happen. Clayton would be like, "Oh my gosh, we're going 12-5." That's not happening. It's not. But we're going to play better. I do think Bo Nix is going to run Sean Payton's offense, which if Russell Wilson could have ran the offense the way it was intended, we probably would have won a few more games. And he wasn't god-awful. But there were a lot of times he took sacks. He missed open receivers. He didn't see guys that were running wide open. We schemed this guy wide open. You didn't throw it to him. That happened a lot. A lot. We're still 8-9. Again, 6. If we win 6 games, right on. 8 games, that's about the ceiling. We're not getting above that. I don't think we're doing 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, you guys got to add something.
I think there's a lot of holes and a lot of work to be done with this entire roster still. That I think Broncos fans are drinking a little bit too much Kool-Aid right now. And look, I get it. As a Nebraska fan, hope springs eternal, brand new season. It's harder for me to drink Kool-Aid in the NFL because decisions can have much more dire consequences. And the Broncos are feeling those consequences for a couple decades now outside of Peyton Manning. And I'm still not sold on the changes that have been made now that people think are going to be so grand in the next upcoming season. So I think the coaching staff still has a lot to prove. I don't think they get this free pass that a lot of fans are giving them. I think while I like Bo Nix, I think his game still has some question marks when it comes to translating to the NFL, and he doesn't have a lot of weapons to work with. The offensive line is average at best, and now you've got a rookie quarterback behind it that doesn't recognize pressures and things of that nature as well as somebody who's played some games does. And the defense is just lacking. They're okay. But I think they got lucky last year a couple times. I don't think that Dolphins game is as big a fluke and an outlier as maybe some are trying to claim it to be.
That Dolphins game was a complete outlier because they didn't play like that the rest of the season.
I get that once things start rolling, you can't stop it, and then it just becomes a we don't really care. Let's go on.
Again, at the end of the day, I truly believe it's 110 degrees on that field, and nobody wanted to be there at that point.
That's fine. I still think it exposed a defense that isn't that good in just the grand scheme of things, and I don't think they really did anything to make themselves that much better. So you're relying a lot on coaching, scheming things into correct positions again, which is asking a lot if you're missing the talent to make up for any mistakes. You're almost saying that the game plan called last year was perfect and they're going to have to do it again. And I'm just not seeing all those things add up to a 6+ win season. I see a top 5 pick incoming, and that's, I think, going to be hard to swallow for a lot of Broncos fans. And then the question becomes, in what many are saying is going to be a really loaded draft on the offensive side of the ball for talent, what do you do? So that's more where I see this season playing out, and seeing what, if anything, you can build upon and keep. Because in my mind, next offseason, the Broncos should have a lot of money to go spend and try to put some actual pieces on.
Not including the money they give Patrick Surtain, they have $100 million to spend next season. And I don't know how much the Patrick Surtain money will take away from that $100 million, but they have money. This year, we didn't really have the money to go out in free agency and really, get some fancy toys.
I get that, but I'm just saying it's not even about the fancy toys. It's about just being able to actually fill holes with good NFL players. It doesn't even have to be great, just good NFL players. We don't even have that in a lot of areas right now. So to say the coaching is going to make up for that and get us to 6 wins, I think is a big ask, especially for myself when I still have question marks about the coaching.
I think the roster is a little bit better this year than it was last year, and they won 8 games last year, so.
Maybe not.
Again, I don't think it's a lot of people are like, you're crazy. I'm like, 6 to 8 wins is the Broncos range. That's what's going to happen.
I think you could easily as argue that they lucked into some games last year where they should have really only won 4 or 5.
They lost a couple games they should have won, though, as well.
I'm just saying it can be.
They should have won that Raiders game to win the season, to begin the season. They should have won the Redskins game.
You want to keep arguing that they could have won a couple more games. I'm saying it's just as easily could have been argued the other way.
Correct.
That's all I'm saying.
They could have, and that's football, right? Every season.
But that's why I think that the ask of over 5.5 is big, because when you're talking about a team that's lacking talent, it's not like this is a team that was injured last year and had some issues where they lost their way. This is a team who just wasn't good. And they're not really any better this year.
When you're lacking talent and you're in close games, having good coaching normally helps. I do think they have good enough coaching to help in those situations to at least win 6 games.
Look, if I'm making bold predictions right now, my bold prediction would be that next offseason, 6 months from now, 7 months from now, Broncos fans are wondering if they should be taking Shedeur Sanders in the top 5, with Bo Nix still on the roster having an all right rookie year. Like that's how I feel the season's going to go, to the point where they have that high of a draft pick that's an actual conversation.
And that would be a pretty debated conversation. Absolutely true. But I guess and that's going to depend on what teams are up there. I do think the Patriots are going to be pretty bad. I think the Patriots are going to be.
It's funny you mentioned the Patriots, because honestly, I think you could put a mask on both organizations and you wouldn't be able to tell who's who. The only difference is right now we have a more experienced head coach in the Broncos compared to the Patriots that are going with Gerard Mayo. I think that's the only difference between the two teams right now, if I'm being honest. I think talent-wise, very similar rosters. The rosters
are close. They're close, but I would probably still give the edge to the Broncos there, which is not saying much.
And if you did, that's fine. I'm just saying, you're projecting the Patriots to have arguably the top pick, couple wins, maybe 3. And so you're saying Sean Payton's worth at least 3 wins?
I do.
Okay.
I think he's worth 6 wins. We're going to win 6 games, at least.
Okay.
Which, again, I'm okay with. As long as we look better and we're building this thing. This was a rebuild. We know when you do a rebuild, it's tough. Like, there's lean years in a rebuild. You should be expecting that. But Broncos fans are really at that point of they want us to make the playoffs.
I think the Broncos are still in a giant chaotic state of limbo. And the only way they get out of that is if Bo Nix goes out there and has a fantastic rookie season. like way above expectations, better numbers than Russ had last year type rookie season.
What does that mean to you? Like numbers, wins, like what is that? What does that look like?
Numbers, it's got to be better than what Russ put up last year. He's got to show control of the offense. People have to be talking about they're winning games because of Bo Nix. That was a great pick. Everybody was wrong. They didn't reach. Phenomenal. Like, unless he does that, I think there's going to be a lot of fans who are going to be like, especially if you're talking about Shedeur Sanders next offseason, if that's the conversation next year, then this franchise is most definitely still in a chaotic state of limbo.
So you're talking 3,500 yards, 26
I'm talking at the
touchdowns.
end of the season, there is no conversation about the potential of the Broncos taking a Shedeur Sanders or Carson Beck for if he somehow becomes the guy or whatever. There can't be any there cannot be any thought of, even if the Broncos have a top 5 pick, the conversation should be that they don't need to worry about the quarterback. So whatever season Bo Nix needs to have for that to be the conversation, my belief is fully that if the Broncos don't have that, then they are still in a bad spot. If at the end of this season, Bo Nix is not a question mark and everybody knows, even in the league circles, that's their guy, they're good to go moving forward with him, then they're okay. They're in a good spot because of the way you can rebuild and how quickly you can do it in the NFL. But if there is any conversation come next offseason, come draft time, where even the potential of drafting a quarterback is in the mix, the Broncos are in a bad spot still.
So you would say that without a doubt, Bo Nix should be starting week 1 then. So you can gather that information.
Absolutely. I don't even think that should be a question mark. You specifically drafted him by all accounts because he fits in perfectly to what the head coach wants to do on the offensive side of the ball. There's zero reason why you wouldn't start in week 1. Zero in my mind. And I've said before, I like Bo Nix. I don't think it was a reach. I think it was a good pick. No issues with the Broncos taking him. I wasn't incredibly stoked or excited about it because I think there's so many. I'm not rehashing all that. We talked about all that, Pinky. You know where I was coming from, so on and so forth. I'm just in the belief that this is a huge question mark season for the Broncos. I fully believe them to be at the bottom of the league come the end of the season, and I'm not going to be mad about that because I am realistic about what this roster is and what they're needing to do to move forward. I think the biggest question mark, though, for me is the quarterback still a topic of debate at the end of the season? Yes, there's a lot of problems, and they're really screwed for another couple of years, period. No, you're good. You can go spend that money in the offseason where you need to. You can put weapons around him because we all know what happens if you put weapons around a good quarterback. In today's NFL, it means any concerns I had about the head coach were unfounded and I'm an idiot. So I think that is a huge linchpin in all of this.
I think, honestly, Caleb, you've got a lot of good points, and Pinky's just, got those colored glasses on.
Look, I mean, when it comes to Nebraska, I have a hard time taking them off. So
I was about to say, you have your own rose-colored glasses as well.
It's just the only one I have, and they quickly get removed at the beginning of every season, unfortunately. I just feel like after everything that's happened over the last, basically since Peyton Manning retired, Broncos fans would have an easier time seeing through those orange tint. And it seems like they're unable to do so, unfortunately, and I end up catching a lot of flack for it. Hello, good sir.
Welcome back, Pinky.
Sorry, boys. I drank too much, so.
We're good. Thoughts are complete. You got anything to add finally, Pinky?
No. I'm just, now that we've completed our review of all the divisions, I'm just excited for some football.
Hey, games start Thursday, like you said. So we're right there, baby.
We'll see some football Thursday. It'll be fun seeing the new kickoff rule.
Yeah.
That was really fun to see at the training camp, actually.
We haven't seen that yet. It's interesting. It is.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's very interesting. Training camp. That was a fun experience. They did take it easy the day we went. We went Saturday. They took it easy. They had an off day on Sunday, so I think they just kind of like, well, we're going to just kind of take it easy. Wasn't a whole lot. The biggest thing I took away from Saturday is watching Zach Wilson. Like, that dude needs a lot of rehab.
It's not going to happen.
Because it was literally like every time he dropped back, if you were in a game, he got sacked. Every time. And then there were times when Stidham went back, you were like, that sack's close, but he'd get the ball out. Bo Nix moved in the pocket, got the ball out. Like, there's a clear difference in Zach Wilson. Like, he doesn't have pocket presence.
He's broken, dude.
Now, he makes some throws that you're like, oh, wow. He made one to Troy Franklin, back of the end zone, right in the bucket. And Franklin caught it. It was awesome. And then you're just like, but then on the next play, he got sacked. And then the next play he got sacked like 8 times. Yeah. And he only took like 12 reps. Like, it was bad. That was one of the biggest takeaways I had from Broncos training camp is he doesn't have pocket presence, and I'm wondering. I don't know. Like, do you keep him on the roster? Do you just try to see if you can get him on the practice squad? I don't. He needs a lot of rehab, and I almost. I'm not sure which guy is better, but I see like he's got the physical arm talent, but I just don't know if he's got it up here. I don't know if he can mentally process.
Once that's gone, it's almost impossible to get back.
Oh, absolutely. There's no helping that. So I don't know if he's worth keeping on the roster. Maybe you cut him and then try to re-sign him if nobody else wants to grab him, you re-sign him to the practice squad. I don't know if you want to have him on the game day roster.
Yeah. I get it. Final thoughts, good sir.
Robert, what do you got?
I'm just ready for more Olympics, man. That's it, buddy. Again, this is the pinnacle of sports, and I love seeing people just go after it and give it all.
I like it. Pinky.
Normally, my wife is already up here bugging me that, you guys have been on for 2 hours. But she's watching the Olympics, so she hasn't bothered me at all.
Nice. I mean, I watched most of the live stuff today, so it's all recap right now. The new live events kick off in 2.5 hours, but I will be asleep. So I'll watch that tomorrow evening and get caught up again. But that's it. Olympics, and then, football's coming. So
we got Hall of Fame game this weekend. I like watching the Hall of Fame ceremony. The speeches are always pretty good, and I think it's just it's fun watching guys get honored. I've been to the Hall of Fame. For any football fan, the Hall of Fame is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
I'd like to go and see it someday.
The Hall of Fame is right next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is nowhere close to the Hall of Fame. It's not like, I don't know if I'd want to go back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I'm a huge music guy. I was not impressed at all.
Interesting.
But the Hall of Fame does a great job.
I did want to say I did secure my tickets for Alien. That was one other thing I was going to let you guys know.
Okay. What time are you going?
7:15.
Okay.
On Friday.
We're going to training camp that day. So.
No. I got plans, so we're good.
Going back to training camp August 16th. The Packers will be in town for a joint practice. So we'll be there, and we'll give you another we'll see if there's anything new we can pull from that practice.
Yeah. That's going to be fun.
I'm ready for fantasy football. I'm jonesing. Texted Pinky the other day. I need some drafts and some smack talk and roster decisions in my life. Football's back soon. Stoked about all of that as well. So we'll be we'll be some happy boys here soon enough. Appreciate everybody's support as always. Our words don't mean as much as we truly feel, but we cannot thank you enough. Do not take those opportunities with your loved ones, family, friends, inner circle for granted. Cherish them. Take advantage of them whenever you can. Until next Tuesday, guys. We're out. Peace.
See ya.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road.